Hi everybody, it's Amalia, and I'm here today with projects that I've completed from a watercolor Christmas card class by Lindsey Weirich. She's the Frugal Crafter here on YouTube, and her class is on teachable.com if you're interested in taking her class after this video. I really enjoyed this class, and it's chock full of projects, which you will see, and she makes it very approachable and very easy to do. You don't have to have any artistic skill or any drawing skill really to do this. And here's what I used in the class. These are two of my paint palettes and a deviled egg dish that I used to mix up colors and make them in larger quantities for certain projects. This is the Prang Professional Watercolor Set. It's just a basic set of colors. It has the primary colors and it has some secondary colors and two neutrals being the brown and the black. And it is my favorite set to use. I've had it for years. It's lasted me for years. You can see that it's been very well loved and used, and I am almost out of my yellow. Red's been used up pretty well, green as well, and yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do when I start running out of those colors. This is my Kramer pigment set. This is actually a set that I made during a How to Make Your Own Watercolors class I took at Kramer Pigments in New York City a couple of years ago. I have a video on that from a few years back, but this is what the palette looks like. It's got some great colors in it, and it was fun to make. This is just the brush that came with the Prang set. I didn't use it for very much. My favorite brush is this one right here. This is the number 6 silver black velvet brush. This is the favorite. And this is the Royal Soft Grip number 2 scrubber brush. This is just a brush that you use to remove paint actually from your painting and to create highlights and texture in your piece. The first projects were tags. She'll tell you how to cut the tags out, and she also shows you step by step on how to draw the individual pieces. She couldn't make it any easier. This one's basically a heart, and most people can draw hearts. I finished this particular piece off by outlining it with a micron pen. You draw it in pencil, you paint it in your colors, and then once it's dry, you use the micron pen to do the outlines. And it really is a very effective way of just making that more of a graphic piece. I didn't finish this particular piece. It was super easy to do. Again, it's a Christmas tree. You start with a triangle and then you go from there. And she shows you exactly what you need to do. I didn't complete the piece because it needed extra tinsel, some balls, and the packages at the bottom needed ribbon, and I just didn't want to do that. This is the gnome, and I love him. It's basically a triangle as well, if you can see. You draw it in pencil, you do your shapes, you erase what you don't want, and again, I love how it came out and she made it easy. I drew this as well. She shows you how to do it. Again, super easy. If I can do it, anybody can do it, trust me. And I love how my little mouse came out. I just adore him. I don't like mice in real life, but this guy is too cute. This next one is called a chickadee, and it came out great, if I do say so myself. She also gives you tips on how to change it up a little bit and make it look like a cardinal if you want to paint it all in reds and yellows and make it look like a cardinal. You know, you just add like a little peak at the top, extend the beak, and slim down that breast of the bird, and you have yourself a cardinal. These are 4 of the 6 tag projects. Let's move on to the larger projects. As I mentioned, you draw the tags yourself, but for the larger projects, she provides sketches in 2 sizes. They're in an 8.5 by 11 size and then in a 5 by 7 size. The class is based on making watercolor Christmas cards, so I printed 2 of the projects in a 5 by 7. I did those in a 5 by 7 size, and I did 2 of them in a larger size. And I started with the larger size because I thought it would be easier. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I thought, and that's what I did. Here's the first project. It's a wreath. I traced that onto my watercolor cardstock, and this is the result. You may notice there's a decoration missing from my wreath. I did a lot of erasing just to make the lines a little lighter, and I erased one of my little balls there, and I forgot to draw it in at the end. Yeah, so it's a little lopsided, but it looks good. Looks good. She shows you from end to end how to create it, and there you go. I used Canson XL watercolor paper. It's a 140-pound stock paper, and it's a standard type of watercolor paper, but I found that it really sucked up a lot of water. The water does not sit on the surface very well, or it doesn't, sort of seep into the paper. Like it just sucked it right up into the paper. And she shows you how to work section by section, and that's what I ended up having to do. But she shows you different things: how to draw circles, how to create circles with shadow, and how you use a scrubber brush to create highlights. This is the next project. This was a nighttime snow scene, and this one is a lamppost. We used a couple of different techniques. We added salt to create a wintry, blustery effect. I did some water removal, like to create the highlights in that lamp. You basically put your color down, and then you use a paper towel to soak up some of the color in the middle to create that depth of the light. And also, she had us use some texture paste to make the snow and make it a little 3D. I had three different types. This is the Martha Stewart stucco paint. And I compared the ones that I had side by side. I had three different ones. And I found that the stucco paint was really more of a gray than a white color. So I decided to use this fiber paste that I had from Golden. It's a fiber paste gel medium, and it's got little fibers in it, and it was just a whiter color, so I wanted to use that. And then the final item I had was basically another Golden's product, and this one was a regular gel semi-gloss, and I don't know what it's used for, to be honest with you, but it was semi transparent, not fully opaque. So I used that. It was very white though, so I used that and mixed up half and half of the fiber paste and that gel paste to put the snow down. And I put that on the high points, and then I threw some glitter on top of it before it all dried to make it a little bit more glittery and shiny and etc. This is the third project, and I decided to do it on 5 by 7. And here's the sketch. What I'm showing you here now is basically how you trace the sketch onto your cardstock. The ideal is to use a light box, or what I did here is make my own light box with my light. I just took my light, I taped the sketch to the back of the paper, and I put it over the light, and I traced the sketch that way. You can also put it up to a window during the daytime, obviously, and sketch your piece out that way. In many of the pieces, she has you use the scrubber brush to remove color to create highlights, but also I used a jelly roll pen in white. This is a Sakura jelly roll pen in white to create finer details. I use that on the top part of the ball and on the ball itself, and also on her nails, if you can see that right there. The final project is Santa's sleigh bells. These are supposed to be used, worn, kind of beat up sleigh bells. And that's the final project right here. I had lots of fun doing this one. She shows you shading, she shows you depth of color. She doesn't show you how to smudge up your project with random color. I couldn't remove that, and I'm tempted to go over it and just splatter some paint all over it to kind of camouflage it. But yeah, I don't know if I'll actually do that. So I thought I'd show you the process of making the very first tag. You're basically just drawing a heart shape and elongate the pointy end of the heart and add some mittens to the end. And there you have your basic shape right there. You draw it in pencil. I kept going back and forth erasing things, driving myself nuts. There's my pristine egg plate right there. And it doesn't stay pristine for very long, does it? Once you've got your outline done or your little drawing done, you're just going to basically go back over it with your paint. And you use your brush to fill in all the spaces and go over your lines. And that's pretty much it right there in a nutshell. You go over your lines with your color, you make your mittens, and you fill in your mittens with a little bit of that red. Then you take your green and add your green for the Christmas trees that were on the mittens. And that's pretty much it, folks. Wait for this to dry, and then the very last step is to go over the image with your black micron marker. And it just completes the picture. This is going to be your first project, and your hands may be a little bit shaky. It may not be a little perfect, but that black line really brings everything out and makes it look great. Adding the final touches, and there you go. I'm going to show you some pictures of the stages that my lamppost painting went through, and then the final pictures will be of just the final projects that I made. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining me. I really appreciate you stopping by. Please leave a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Have you taken any of Lindsay's classes before? And don't forget, as always, bye!